This next person I'm going to introduce here in a moment is a dear friend of mine. I met him about 3 years ago through Nick, in fact. Nick's a connector of people too, so that's pretty awesome. What I know about this person and his wife is they are amazing, amazing individuals who love kids and do a lot of work around kids' education. And this person's business, this person's drive and purpose is his business called Base Case and Build. And it's not so much about what to teach adults per se, but it's about what to teach kids, because it's much easier teaching kids and building them up than quote unquote fixing broken adults. Does that make sense? If you get the kids started right early, then the rest should be pretty easy to keep the momentum going. And the cool stuff he's going to talk about today is about the programs he does with kids, how he helps frame them for a mindset that sets them up for success in life. And so I'm excited to hear from him. So put your hands together for Mr. J. Bhakta.
All right. Well, I'm definitely excited to be here as the education partner for ATN. When Joey brought this opportunity to me, I was like, yes. I met Aaron in person last year at an event, and his mission is completely aligned with what I'm doing. So I'm just going to start off by saying what it is that I do and why I do it. And that is that I teach families strategies and habits of the top 1% of the wealthy. And what is that? Well, wealthy isn't just having money. It's about getting the things that you want in life and not blowing yourself up in the process or after you get there. All right? So I'll tell you a little bit about my career. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, most of it in the tax industry. I grew to about 6 tax offices in the Valley, and as exciting and fun as that sounds, there's something that I noticed, the financial behavior of people that I saw coming through my offices. All right? I was preparing thousands of tax returns, and there was enormous tax refunds that was being handed out. Child tax credits were getting larger, earned income credits were getting larger, so people were getting these huge refunds, and it was growing every year. But what I noticed that all these people that were getting these huge refunds were in the same position the following year when they came to file their taxes. They were broke, right? In most cases, they were worse off than they were before. Because what happens when you give a lot of money to someone that has no financial education, they spend it, usually on these extravagant trips, lavish. They go to these expensive restaurants and they order food that they can't afford to eat, steak, lobster. The kids get the taste of all this. And they get this taste of this lifestyle that can't sustain. So when they come back the following year after all this money that's handed to them, they are actually in worse shape because now they're trying to live a life that they can't keep up with. And they're more likely in debt. And they're probably listening to their kids saying, hey, why can't we eat steak again? Or why can't we go on this vacation again? And so on, right? So what I noticed is that the amount of money that was given to these people, it wasn't helping them. It was actually keeping them stuck where they were at. So free money was not the answer. So we'll come back to that. But about 3-4 years ago, I came across Nick, and you'll get to meet him. If you haven't, definitely get in, talk to him. But I came across Nick, and I started following his content and started listening to his, going to his masterminds. He started talking about the solvable problem, stuff that I never thought about for myself. So even though I was in business for 20 years and I was accumulating all this wealth, I never once sat down and think about what is it that I really want in life. I'm sitting here so busy trying to accumulate all this wealth, and there was no end to it. I was always chasing more. But as I was learning all this stuff from Nick, I even got coaching through his corner man, Dr. Jeff Spencer, and I reset my entire way of thinking. I got a whole new operating system, and it totally opened my eyes to where I was in life and what I wanted to do. And there's just one thought that kept coming to me as I was learning all this. Because you start reflecting on all the decisions you made in the past, and you're like, man, if I would have known this sooner, I would have avoided so much pain and heartache. I wouldn't have made that decision, right? Obviously, you can't go back in time and change, what's happened, but it got me thinking about my kids. Like, how can I teach all this stuff that I've learned, which is so valuable and it's completely changed my way of thinking in my life, to them without it seeming like a lecture, right? Because if I go to them, if I go to my son and I start talking to him about all this stuff I learned, new concepts and principles and frameworks and so on, why is dad lecturing me again, right? And I was like, well, let me get a group of kids together and teach it in a group setting. So I'm not going directly at my son. I'm teaching it in a group setting. So there's other people there. There's a community of kids together. So I started teaching a new concept every week. And I would share my experiences and real life scenarios and situations to them. And I would task them to go talk to their parents about it. So the kids loved it because they were learning things that you don't learn in the traditional education system. I mean, do they teach? I'm sure you'd all agree that they do not teach financial literacy. They don't teach emotional intelligence. They don't teach you anything that really prepares you for the real world, right? So the parents loved it because now the kids, because I tasked the kids to go talk to their parents and get their perspective after what they learned. The parents loved it because now the kids are approaching them, right? It's no longer a lecture from the parents. The kids are approaching them and they initiate the conversations and opens up the floodgates. Because once the kids approach you and you start talking to you, you could say, you could add your 2 cents and you could add whatever you want to that conversation. And it created this common language and this shared language with the parents. And the feedback that I got from a lot of the parents is that now they feel confident that if a difficult situation arises in the future, the kids would approach them instead of going to some random source or Googling it online or some person that tells you this is the way it should be, right? And that's a peace of mind that the parents get by having these conversations, these deeper, more meaningful conversations that they normally can't initiate themselves, right? So I was only going to do one cohort because it's sort of like a hobby of mine. I was like, I want to give my 14-year-old son and teach him all this stuff. And my wife saw the benefits and the strides that my son was making. She's like, well, you can't forget about your daughter, 10-year-old daughter, right? And I was like, well, she's only 10 years old. How much can she possibly be going through, or how much of this can how much can she apply in her life, right? How much does this really make sense for her, right? She's like, why don't you sit down and talk to her, right? So I asked her about her day, what goes on in school, and I could not believe how much drama a 10-year-old goes through. And I was like, you know what? She needs this just as much as the older kids, right? So I expanded the age group to 10 and up, brought on some new kids, and it worked out great. I mean, the concepts apply no matter how old you are. I mean, it's great for adults. It's just as great for the kids. Right? So the kids loved it, the parents loved it, and eventually word of mouth spread, and it became my full-time gig. Right? I sold all my tax businesses last year, got out of that, as fun as it was, and decided to do something more impactful, which was to teach kids these real life skills and set them up for success. So when I talked about earlier about the people that came in, that money wasn't the answer, so I realized the solution isn't giving free money, right? It's to educate, right? To teach the financial literacy, teach the emotional intelligence skills, and both of them are equally important. Because if you have emotional intelligence and you have no financial literacy skills, then you might not generate any wealth, right? I mean, if you have emotional intelligence, if you have financial literacy skills and you have no emotional intelligence, then you could go and wreck yourself, right? Because we already know that money isn't the answer, right? So that's what I love about this partnership with ATN, because I get to teach these skills to families, and you have a vehicle, you have a tool to actually get there, right? So I'm really looking forward to this. And you heard Aaron, he is all about family. He's always looking at a bigger picture, right? And that's what I want. That's what excites me the most about this partnership, is that it's just not how much money you can make in this. It's about what kind of impact could you make for yourself and for generations to come. So if you have any questions about what it is that I do or more information, feel free to contact me, because this journey isn't just about you guys, it's about the entire family, bringing your spouses, bringing your kids along in this journey, because honestly, if you reach financial freedom, do you want to sit there and worry about your kids about like, hey, are they going to be able to survive? Are they struggling? You know, or they're emotionally wrecked, right? You want them. You want that peace of mind that they're also set and well off, right? So you know, one of the things that Dr. Jeff Spencer, my coach and mentor, says is that no one wins alone, and that's what that's why I focus on the family, because we want to bring the whole family along in this journey, right? And you have the vehicle here with ATN, what Aaron's doing, what the team is doing. You know, you add the other element to it, then you guys are golden and set. All right. Well, thank you. That's it.